promotions of the springtime to kick it off. It's March, there's still snow on the ground, which is a beautiful thing. Because going into April, going into May, going into this summer, we should have another 2 or 3 promotions in all of your offices. We've got Dallas coming up 2 weeks from now. And I'm excited about the crew that our office is bringing. I know there's a lot of up-and-coming rising star leaders from all of your offices that are going to be going to Dallas 2 weeks from now. It was the most influential meeting I ever went to, regardless of how many owner meetings or R&R weekends I've been to. That first Dallas meeting, 3 months into the business, I learned everything I needed to learn in order to be a top leader. I learned everything I needed to learn in order to push into assistant management. I took that information and applied it. And the past 2.5 years, the past 3 years, this is the result. So that first Dallas meeting, so congrats and a quick round of applause for everyone that got selected to go to Dallas. This spring, our company, we invested about $100 million in a big real estate development in Orange County, California. Larry Tenenbaum, who runs the business, is the CEO of our supply company. He put money into this building, and the first floor is going to be a head office building. It will contain employees that do paperwork and phone calls, help work and manage our clients that we are a part of and that we sell for. The second floor is going to be an all-inclusive impact room, morning meeting room, atmosphere. There's going to be a stadium seating type arena with a stage. That way we can do promotions up there. And what's going to happen is the top people that are going through the field now have such a better opportunity to get into management and to succeed in management because of the direction the organization's growing in, the direction that the supply companies is growing into, and the money that's being invested into us in order for us to grow. That resource wasn't something I was able to use going through the field. So it should be finished by the end of this summer. It's going to be a huge 100,000 square foot facility. It will be our training facility. And for those of you that have big spring times, that have big summer times, you will be selected to go out there towards the end of the summer, pushing into the fall. And something like this, even if you're not selected to go out there, should make you realize and appreciate how much somebody that's at such a high position cares about the future of the business, investing $100 million, $80 million into developing a facility for us so that people like you can continue to grow, people like me can continue to grow, and the business can continue to flourish. 10 years ago, something like that was unimaginable. 20 years ago, we didn't even work with one Fortune 500 company. So the future is bright. And going into 2016 even, 8 months from now, where are you going to be? We've got a promotion into management today. And you could be on your first day or you could be in training. And this might be that reality check for you where you look at the person at the front of the room and say, I could do that. He's not that special. Sorry, Brandon. But nobody is. And since you're here, then you've got the same exact opportunity that everyone else in this room has. So keep that in mind when we have this promotion speech come up. The direction the organization's headed in, we're going to double in size by the end of the summer. Appreciate and feel gratitude that you're a part of the organization that you're a part of, that you're a part of the company that appreciates you so much that they're investing millions of dollars into your future so that you can have better training, so that you can get a better experience going through the field, so that you can have more opportunity, so that you can go in a better direction with your career. And the future is bright for our business. We've got Dallas 2 weeks from now. We've got a promotion to kick off the spring, and we've got the biggest time of year in our business, which is the spring and summer months. In order to get promoted into management, you need to catch 2 cycles of recruiting and of high sales, of high octane energy. And the springtime is one of those cycles. One of those cycles hits 5 or 6 times a year. It hits with the new year on January 1st. It hits with the springtime come March, April, and May. It hits with the summertime come June and July. It hits again in the fall with September 1st. 4, 5, 6 times a year you can catch that cycle, that wave, that momentum. And if you're doing the right things for 2 cycles in a row, 6 months straight, 4 months straight, guess what? You'll be at the front of the room getting promoted. But it takes long-term focus, long-term commitment, long-term motivation. All of you will be motivated for today. All of you will be motivated when you walk out of the building and head into the field. How many will be motivated at 3 o'clock when their hands are frozen and they're on 0 apps or 0 leads? How many will be motivated 2 weeks from now? How many will be motivated 2 months from now? I'll let that slide. It's not about, it's not a rat race. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. Moving forward from that, to open it up, we've got the biggest second half of the month for the programs, both on Verizon and on Power. For a lot of you, the past couple weeks, Sundays and Saturdays, you've been extra miling in the field. Well, we've got bonuses out for offices, but more importantly, there's a lot of opportunity that's being put on the table for our clients that some of you may not know about. The way this business works is we've got to fight and we've got to earn every single city that we grow into. The way we fight for it, the way we earn it, is because of our army, it's because of our people, it's because of us. Of the work you put in every Sunday, every Saturday, the work you put in every week, it adds up, it tallies up. Well, Verizon has given an opportunity to our organization to take on another 15 markets. Power's given an opportunity to our organization to increase the pay scale and open up another 7 cities. By the end of this weekend, there's a certain goal that our organization needs to hit. The goal on Verizon is 20,000 apps for the month. For 2 months. In order for our organization to hit that, and for us to get more territory for Verizon, and for us to get more territory for Power, this Saturday, this Sunday, have to be finishing the month off strong. This weekend determines whether we get those cities or whether another vendor or another organization gets those cities. The people standing in this room should be the ones that are opening up those territories and opening up those markets. But if we don't do right by the clients this weekend, both Saturday and Sunday, guess what? Those cities aren't going to be ours to open up. And you're going to be fighting everyone in this room for tiny little cities, tiny little markets that aren't even big enough for the both of you. So both today and tomorrow, all of our offices will be in the field. Check with your manager on what time you're starting or what the goal is for the day. But we need to be pushing that now more than ever. And with the springtime beginning, the momentum that we build is going to lead us into the next 6 months of promotions, of growth, of success. And by the end of the summer, we should be able to look back at all of our work and be proud of what we did and go into R&R weekend in the Cayman Islands or in Mexico and enjoy ourselves. I look at Jared, who runs the Brooklyn market. A lot of you know him. I look at Jared and the bond that me and him have, the time we've spent in the field together, the 2 years we went battling every single day, fighting every single day, earning our respect, earning our spot, earning our seat at the table. Because everyone that makes it to the top, guess what? They fucking take their spot. They don't wait for it to be handed to them. And when me and Jared started in the business, we both wanted to earn that spot. We both wanted a seat at the table. We both wanted enough food on our plate so that we could eat and our families could eat. Well, in the business, over the past year, 8 months that Jared's been in management, he's had a tremendous amount of success. This week, that whole crew in Brooklyn is #1 in the country. It'll all come down to today, their office versus Jackie's office. We've got Dan here on behalf of Jackie's office. He issued the competition. The Brooklyn people want to tear him apart, but I promised Dan if he talked shit, he wouldn't get beat up. But you look at the past 2 years me and Jared went through the field together. The Thursday nights where he'd sleep over at my house because he had to drive an hour and a half to and from work every single day. He lived with his mom in Poughkeepsie. The office was in Tarrytown. His mom was a nurse, and that's what motivated him, working long hours just to make sure he was taken care of. So he would sleep over at my house on Thursday nights because it'd be late after team night and he wouldn't be able to drive home. We'd go back to my house, we'd eat dinner, we'd set up goals for the week, and he'd fall asleep in his chair watching TV at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. All of a sudden, I look over to my left and I see him snoring. I say, Jared, it's time to go to bed. Let's call it a night. I'll see you in the morning. But those long nights, that determination, that commitment, the Friday nights, the Saturdays, the Sundays in the field, every single day adds up and adds up and adds up. And there's a certain amount that it takes in order to make it. And Jared has put in that work. And we've got a lot of people in this room that are going to put in that work. And that are going to take their spot at the table. The question is, who's it going to be? The question is, when are you going to be there? And how much food are you going to eat at that table? And how big of a spot are you going to make for yourself? Juice? Juice! So, without further ado, I'd like to bring up Jared Nwamame, who runs the Brooklyn market.
What's going on, guys? I look at this like a welcome home kind of thing. Reminds me of when LeBron James came back from the Miami Heat, coming back for Cleveland. Everybody accepts him. So I'm happy to be back in Long Island. Obviously, you guys know the story as far as me, Drew, Luke, Ryan. We expanded out from Westchester, came into Long Island. Our #1 goal is to be the #1 office on Power. Our #1 goal is to be the greatest expansion crew ever to come out of Power Home Remodeling Group. Long story short, we built up this office. We got involved with 3 campaigns, Home Depot, Power, and Verizon. Once we got involved with Verizon, we had to make sure we built this thing up. And I remember at a point where I was super frustrated, where we didn't have the guys, we didn't have the recruiting. And I remember being in this spot right here. It was me, Brian Summers, Jeffrey Gousset, and Derek Adjaman. And we were just arguing back and forth as far as what pitch we're going to use, what territory, or how we're going to work the territory, what system we're going to do. And it was at a rough point in my training program. And I told Drew, and I looked him in his eyes like, hey, we need more support. And Drew looked me in my eyes and said, hey, I'm going to do everything I can to get you where you need to be. And since then, he put fully focus on Verizon. We trained some guys up on Home Depot, Matt Mariella. We trained some guys up on Power, Ryan Emnom, and we really started to pick things up. And as soon as we started to pick things up, I looked at it in my training program like this is the time. This is the time where I have to get promoted. It's going into 2015, or 2014 actually. I got to make it happen. I got to take things in my own hands. And I put up a college job fair site or a college board post and make sure I had to recruit from colleges. And the first person I brought on was Vito Piazza. So I brought on Vito, taught him the field. My first guy, even though I had Jeff and Brian, Vito's my first guy on the Verizon program. and I had to be able to duplicate myself. And once I put that time with Vito, I was able to duplicate, and I got him the leadership. And the second guy we put on Kelvin Abraham. By far, you can ask Kelvin, the best interview I've ever done. And this is, things are really picking up as a leader for me. I was consistent in the field. I was doing everything I was doing on the second rounds. I was doing everything I had to do in the office, and everything was kind of picking up. And I was sitting down with Drew, and he's like, "Hey, you need one more guy. You need one more piece of the puzzle." And he brought me in one morning. He says, "Jared, I got 2 second rounds I want you to take out. One guy's the other guy's a stud. This guy's gonna be the next guy. This guy's gonna get you guys out of here." So I took out Brandon Henry, and I took out another guy, and I remember doing the resume breakdown, and Brandon remembers this story. We're doing the resume breakdown. I asked him, "Hey, what university do you attend? And did you graduate?" He says, "No." So I wrote, "No degree." Big, and he says I'm an asshole to this day. But I had to make sure I broke Brandon early. So throughout the whole interview, I was taking both guys out, but I was really putting my time on Brandon, really putting my focus on Brandon. And we sat down for the corporate structure, and I'm impacting, like I said, everything was clicking for me as a leader. I'm impacting on the business, I'm impacting on what success is, entrepreneurship, and he really bought into what we were talking about as far as me and Drew's goals. And he really bought into what I was saying, and obviously he sat down with Drew. He was super, super impressed. And he actually had an interview with Jackie in Jessica's office. He actually got accepted for the position, but obviously he felt like this is the right fit for him. So I'm gonna let Brandon tell you guys his story. But he was actually a manager at a call center, and he had to put in his 2 weeks. And he wanted to be the responsible guy, put in his 2 weeks, but he also had to replace his position. So it took him 2 weeks to start with us. And me and Drew looked at it as like, hey, we got to get this guy in the door. And we did what recruiters do, and we recruited him. So between that time, we set up a day where we met up in the office on a Sunday. We went out to the field for a little while. We went to like a townhome community in West Babylon. I let Drew, do all the work in the beginning. It was about an hour in, and we didn't get any presentations. And I'm like, all right, cool, we got to get this thing going. It's like, hey, Drew, step aside. I'll show you how it's done. Hey, what's going on? First person I talked to, we got in the house, signed him up. Brandon seen the field is super, super easy. We went back to Fridays, had a dinner, great conversations, set up goals. I gave him the pitch, just so he can, hit the ground running. When Brandon started, I knew he was a special guy. We were in the office practicing pitch, and every time he came back after his notes, he came back everything typed up. And I remember we were practicing pitch one day. I'm like, all right, cool, Brandon, give me this bundle. He has a binder. He turns the binder over. He figures out what packages. Then he turns the binder over again, and he adds up the boxes. Like, everything's to the T. I'm like, hey, this guy's going to be a stud. Like, this is the next guy. This is my next owner. And, once Brandon got on his own, he didn't disappoint. His first week, he did about 15 apps. He took the campaign, and, I knew he was going to be that guy. But if you ask Brandon, and then we obviously got the opportunity to expand to Brooklyn. But if you ask Brandon, hey, was it easy? I'm sure he'll tell you no. Because anytime you're looking to accomplish something great, there's always going to be bumps in the road. They never say success is a straight line. It's bumps, it's bruises. You have to walk a certain path. And with Brandon, how I look at him, because how do you coach a guy as a coach and as a leader? How do you coach a guy that's found so much success in the business, where we built this foundation and now we're number one? How do you coach a guy that has found so much success in this business? How do you coach a guy that feels like he shouldn't have to go through any negatives because he's that good? How do you coach a guy that's putting his all in, but he's not seeing the results right now? How do you coach a guy that is busting his ass, but he's so frustrated because everybody around him is not where they need to be at? How do you do it? And at this point, I look at Brandon and, as a leader in every level in this business, you have that aha moment. I'm sure you guys all, heard the island meeting where we pitch and everybody gets as far as with the simple thing to do. And it's like, aha, I knew it. And as a leader, you have that moment. As a distributor, as an assistant manager, as a manager, you have that moment all the time. And with Brandon, he was at a point where, he needed that aha moment where he thought he was ready to get promoted. Where, Melissa was doing 18 apps and he was doing 15 and his whole crew was, him and Melissa was almost doing 40 apps. And he felt like he was right there. But we had a conversation. I had a conversation with Drew. He had a conversation with Ken. Say, hey, we can't promote you, Brandon. You have to do more. You have to do more. Your crew is not there yet. And then the second tough conversation I had to have with him when he started to get it going again. I'm like, hey, Brandon, you're good and all, but you're not that good. You have to be better. You have to grow. You have to duplicate yourself 2 times over. And at that point, that's when I really realized that he got it. Because after that, he's been on a tear where he's grown, 3 more leaders after that. And this week, now he's on 26 apps, breaking the office record. He dropped port 3 days in a row. Now we're #1 office in the entire country. And these are all the things that me and Brandon talked about in Long Island. These are all the things me and Brandon talked about when we're staying late up at night. These are all the things me and Brandon talked about when we're having these hard conversations. And in this business, you have to have the hard conversations. You have to dig deep and build this relationship, because that's what it comes from. It comes from the relationships you built with your peers. And, I'm happy to say right now, it's been a long journey. It's been a long journey. I'm super proud of this guy right here. He's given everything to me a guy can give. I've given everything to him as far as what I can give. And I'm really happy for him. I know the guys at Crosstown, they're super happy for him. They're proud of him. And not only I look at this guy as my friend, I look at this guy as my brother, and I look at this guy as my business partner. And I know he's going to be unbelievable as an owner. I know we're going to have great competition where I'm going to be calling him like, hey, Brandon, I just high rolled you this week. What are you going to do about it? And we're going to continue to have that competition. And my kids are going to compete with his kids. And his kids are going to compete with my kids. Vice versa. So I know he's going to do unbelievable in ownership. And, I'm happy to say today is a special day. And we're actually going to promote Brandon Henry to assistant management today. So congratulations.
Cool, so it's a long time coming. How's everybody doing today?
Jersey!
Alright, so as you guys know, I'm Brandon Henry. The best part about speaking in front of all you, I lost my voice. But the best part about speaking in front of all you guys today is that, I can honestly say that, I can relate to each and every single one of you. Every struggle that you guys, could possibly go through in the field, I went through it through a year. And, I'm a living testament, that, if I can make it, that you all can make it too. So I just want to make that point clear that, no matter what you're going through, with endurance and with good stamina, with every negative, it's all of law of average, Fail 99% of the time. All you got to do is be successful one time. Just be successful one time. And then everyone around you be like, hey, you're so lucky. You're super lucky. And it's the same thing with anything. Whether it's getting the girl of your dreams or, landing that dream job. I landed my dream job, so it's the same thing with everything. All right? Just to tell you guys a little bit about myself, I'm from Queens, New York. So I'm originally from Queens, and my mom, she had to raise 4 boys by herself. So she had to raise 4 boys by herself, 4 boys by herself, and, she didn't have money to, handle all 4 of us at once. She didn't have the money. And, so I had to bounce back and forth to my grandmother's house in Pennsylvania, come back to Queens, go back to Pennsylvania. It was just, always, moving back and forth because my grandmother was helping my mom out at the time. I finally met my dad last year in April. So I know Jared remembers that. I know Drew remembers that. I had to take a day off to go meet my dad. So that was pretty cool. I finally got to meet him. I just wanted to get it out the way. But, I knew growing up that based on my family dynamic, that I had a lot of odds stacked against me. And the one thing that I made sure of is that I will never, never let anything stop me. I will never use it as an excuse. I will continue to push. There's nothing that I can't do. There's nothing that I won't be good at. So, that was it. I would never let anything beat me. I don't care. And, what I was doing before this, I was a manager at a call center called NetTel USA. It's actually like 15 minutes down the road in Farmingdale. And, I was the youngest manager there. I was 21 at the time, going on 22. I was the youngest guy in my position there. I started off making $8.75. They paid me more than anybody else that started because obviously they liked me, but $8 wasn't enough. And then after 4 years of being there, I made $28,800. You know, but it wasn't enough. You know, what the hell is 28,000? It's $15 an hour, right? So you know, eventually working for this company, I came with a lot of good ideas for them. You know, I came up with a system where we can maximize our calling list. You know, after I brought this system to them, they implemented it, made hundreds of thousands in revenue, more every month. And then, you know, me being the guy I am, I'm like, hey, look, I'm giving you guys 100%. I want 100% back. You know, I want more money. You know, who doesn't want more money? You know, you want to get paid based off your performance, right? That's why we're all here. So instead of giving me 100%, they gave me 15% back. You know, $15 an hour. So that's when my job search began. You know, I interviewed at 3 places. I interviewed at a bank as a bank teller. They wanted to give me $12 an hour. I was not going to go for that. Then I interviewed at Jackie's office for the FW1 campaign, and I was actually going to do it. But the only thing is that I, you know, interviewed shortly, like the next day, at Drew's office, and like Jared said, I was super impressed with Drew. Like, super impressed. 22 years old, making a ton of money, has his own business. I heard the music. I was one of those guys that didn't think it was weird. I thought it was cool. And then, you know, I couldn't wait to come back for my second round. Came back for my second round, sat down with Jared, you know, and the guy, Corey, I was like, you know, me being the competitor I am, I was like, I'm going to blow this guy out the water. You know, so it was a good thing that I was with somebody because it definitely made me push a little bit further to make sure I got the position. But, you know, Jared's doing a corporate structure. I already heard it, you know, bits and pieces of it because I interviewed at Jackie's office. I was attracted to the business regardless. It didn't matter. But I wanted to weigh out my options. So, you know, the one thing that got me was the Verizon campaign. You know, I had experience working with Verizon with my last job. So that's one of the things that attracted me to, you know, Drew's office, is him being super sharp, Jared being super sharp. So, you know, that's what I did. You know, just wanted to come out and perform, get paid based on my performance. I didn't think commission was an issue because naturally I just knew how to work hard. You know, some of the struggles that I went through the field, you know, I hit leadership my first week. I got promoted into leadership on March 17th, the same day that Jared actually got promoted to assistant management on March 17th. So, you know, from there we knew it was destiny. We knew it was going to happen, right? We had a bonus, hit 100 apps, you know, expand, open up. And then in May, we actually got an opportunity to go on an expansion to Brooklyn. I was super pumped up for this expansion. You know, we went out to Brooklyn. We were crushing it, doing like, you know, 60 apps a week with like 5 guys, 6 guys. So we were really getting the ball rolling. You know, one of my first struggles is that, you know, I didn't think I could produce a leader. You know, I had okay retention. I never had 0 guys in my crew, but you know, I had a struggle with producing leaders. You know, so I didn't get my first leader until 6 months of being in the business in August, and then, you know, once I got that leader, it finally clicked. You know, so how I went about getting this leader is guys just, you know, extra miling. You know, I was like, hey, I have a goal. I have to get a leader. I have to prove to myself that I could do it. So I just extra mile, just working 7 days a week for a month straight. And instead of getting 1 leader, I got like 3 leaders out of nowhere. You know, just by extra miling. You know, all of the, you know, the law of averages playing into my favor. You know, another big struggle that I went through is, you know, me and my girlfriend had broken up during the winter time, and that was like, you know, hard. You know, so if anybody's been in like a real relationship for over a year, you can understand that. But you know, that's when I was like really starting to question myself in the business. I was really starting to question myself, like, hey, is this something I want in my personal life? But then I realized that, hey, you know, it's not the business's fault, it's my fault. You know, I wasn't doing everything I could in my personal life. You know, I was pointing the finger this way, I wasn't pointing it this way. You know, so that's another thing that clicked for me, is just, you know, doing whatever I did, just giving that 100%. Whether it was my personal life or whether it was my work life, just giving each one of them 100% at a time. So, you know, I went through bad paychecks. You know, I made $100 in 1 week. You know, I've made, you know, $2,800 in 1 week. So, you know, guys, it's all about, you know, going through the negatives. You know, if you're worried about your financial issue at this time, you're not thinking big enough. You're really not. You know, even when I made $100, I was like, all right, whatever. You know, I had to ask for money. I had to get money to pay my rent. You know, so I had to do all these things, but I never worried about where I was because it was always about where I was going to be. So then, you know, Jared, you know, he's been a great mentor to me. You know, I couldn't ask for a better mentor. You know, what attracted me to this business most of all is, you know, being surrounded by people just as motivated as me. I brought my parents to the holiday party, and that was, you know, really fulfilling that I could bring them there. They see me accept the award in front of everybody. And my parents looked over and said something to me and said, hey, Brendan, everyone here looks like you. Like, they all look like you. You know how you give off something different about yourself? Like, every single person here just gives off something different than their natural group of friends. So, you know, they say, hey, everyone looks like you. I don't think they meant look like me, you know, because I look better than you guys. But I think what they really meant is they feel like you. That energy is coming off of you, right? So, you know, I just really want to thank, you know, Jared first and foremost, you know, for being my mentor, being my big brother, you know, coaching me, not afraid to have the hard conversation because, you know, he knows I need it. You know, I can get a big head at times. I want to thank Drew from, you know, constantly coaching me at the sideline. You know, just always, you know, if I needed a tough conversation, he was also another guy. I wasn't afraid to have that conversation. You know, and one of the biggest things that Jared, you know, did for me is recently, about a month ago, you know, as he said, you know, I was like, hey, I want to get promoted. I should get promoted. I feel like I'm there, da-da-da. He's right. Me and Melissa did like 35 apps. And then, you know, the rest of the crew did 30 apps. So we weren't quite there yet. Then, you know, as soon as he told me I'm not that good, it was just like something clicked. Like immediately something clicked. Like, you know what, you're right. And then he had another conversation with me, and the conversation went like this. He said, Brandon, if you could just give the business 3 weeks, if you can go 100% for just 3 weeks, you would be there. You would get promoted. Just come in intense every single day. Just come in excited. Come in passionate. Remember why you started. And then that's where it really clicked. I knew Jared didn't mean 3 weeks. I knew he really meant. The message was, if you could be consistent for a long period of time, then you will get to where you need to be. You know, I know we can all look at ourselves and say, hey, I haven't been as consistent, you know, with my thoughts. I haven't been that consistent in the field. I haven't been that consistent with my actions. So if we could just change that, you know, do it for 3 weeks, 21 days, and see the habits that you form after that, right? So, you know, I really want to thank Jared for that conversation. Most importantly, though, guys, I really want to thank my crew. So, guys, really quickly, just give it up for my crew, TTC. Guys, TTC, you guys have been awesome. You know, I appreciate all your hard work. I appreciate staying with me through the winter time. Literally everyone I started in winter time is still here with me today. You know, so I know we have a very strong crew. I know we're gonna do big things. I know we're gonna call Jared up and say, hey Jared, you know, I'm on 150 apps. Jared's like, oh damn, I'm on 120 apps. I know we're gonna crush that. You know, and I'm just really proud. And if guys, you give me 100% of what you have, I promise I will match your efforts in full. And yeah, guys, that's really it. You know, some of my goals.